In this video, I'm going to be showing examples of using conditional statements in Java programs and how those statements are formatted. In particular, I'm going to be showing various types of if conditions. So turning over to my display screen. Starting out, here's just a couple of simple examples of if conditions in Java code. First of all, if score equals 10, then we're going to perform this command here, which is going to be a print. And then below this is an example where we're doing a condition with a block of code rather than just a single line. The big difference is the little curly braces right here. If I do if and then just follow it with a line of code, the if condition will run if and just perform this one line of code and then move on. Whereas this if condition here, all three of these lines are treated as a block, and if this if condition runs, it runs the entire block right here, and if not, it skips past that entire block. Now, when doing if conditions, there are 6 conditional operators that are used by the Java programming language, which these are called the relational operators. You have equal, which is a double equal. You have not equal. Then you have greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to. And here's a couple of examples like if sum is less than or equal to 0, which means that if the value of sum is any negative number, then that would be true. And then here, if sum not equal to 0, which means that if sum is equal to any value other than 0, that condition will be true. Now to go to a sample program here. This sample program shows an example of an if statement, and I also have included an else statement just for completeness. But the way this program works, we start out with some starting variables. I have the user enter the number of hours worked, and then I'm going to check, is the hours worked greater than 40 hours? The way this program operates here is that if the person works more than 40 hours, they get paid overtime pay, where the pay rate gets multiplied by 1.5. If they work less than 40 hours, then the pay rate just is normal. So the way this will work is, if the hours worked is greater than 40, then regular pay will be the pay rate times 40 hours, and then the overtime pay will be all the hours worked in excess of 40 hours times the pay rate times 1.5. That's if the hours worked is greater than 40. Else, then you'll just calculate regular pay. Now the way this if-else is designed to function is, if this condition is true, this block here gets executed. Else, meaning that if this condition is false, then the else block will be executed here. So either one block or the other will execute, just depending upon what the condition is here and whether it's true or false. And I included a couple of samples of output here, where this was the if condition greater than 40 hours. You have your regular pay and then you have the overtime pay. And then this is where the condition is less than 40 hours. And here you just have your regular pay and the overtime pay is just 0. Now one final thing for using if statements is you have what's called logical operators. The logical operators allow you to do additional things in addition to just checking the 6 regular relational operators. First of all, the top one here is called an AND operator. The AND operator is used to check multiple conditions at the same time. And like in this case, If value is greater than or equal to 100 and value is less than or equal to 500, in this particular case, the AND operation says if both of these conditions are true, meaning that this value here is in the range between 100 and 500, then this will come up true. Now, the OR operation is where you have multiple conditions, but each condition is checked by itself. So like if value less than 100 or value greater than 500, then this will come up true. Now in this particular case, the OR operation, only one or the other has to be true. They don't have to both be true. Just one or the other, if it's true, then this will be considered a true condition, and this line will execute. Whereas the AND operation, both portions of it have to be true in order for it to evaluate as true. Then finally, you have the NOT operation. The NOT operation is the reverse of the standard if, where the standard if says if end equals true, then do this. Here, this says if not end, meaning if not end equals true, which means it's the reverse, meaning if end equals false, then this statement will run. And the NOT operation could also be called the negate operation because you're actually doing the negative of true, which means that if this is false instead of true, then this operation will occur.